Welcome to Musical Musings with Sean Daniel and Cody Cook, where he drinks a La Croix and I drink a Perrier, and we talk about music, which is kind of perfect because we are like different pretentious sides of the same coin.
Very pretentious, but of the same coin.
So today we're talking about John Mayer. Hot topic, always a hot topic. Always finds himself in the headlines.
Yeah, whether he wants to be or not.
And you know what? We are the perfect people to be having this conversation.
If there ever were to.
Yeah. And why are you who you are?
I've been called by many a John Mayer apologist.
I've heard that.
I'm a true Mayer fan. I've been through the highs.
To say the least.
I've been through the highs. I don't know what that means. I've been through the highs. I've been through the lows.
There have been lows.
When he was like wearing ponchos and country music, I was just
you stood by him. You were there.
I was the one.
You were riding saddle on that donkey through the through the desert, man.
Through those Montana woods. I was like, yeah, all right, we're doing country now. Sure.
To a certain extent, you like just hanging around you like subliminally made me get a John Mayer strap for like a week.
That's true.
Before like
you did have it for a week.
Yeah, I had it for a week.
Like, this is a great guitar.
Yeah, and I was like, it is a great guitar.
It is, yeah.
It has no mid range.
That was a real interesting Clockwork Orange week for you.
It really was.
Yeah.
And then I snapped out of it once.
Yeah.
I was like listening to some Elliott Smith and I'm like, I gotta return this guitar.
Like this has to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I just gotta. I'm more of a fickle John Mayer fan. Which I'm very upfront about.
You've always been very honest about your John. Yes, you've done like the bare minimum to call yourself a fan.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Like literally any less, and you would not be a fan.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's different levels of fanhood, obviously. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I've listened to everything.
Right. But would you agree that my love for Mayer is it's honest?
Oh, it's the truest, most honest love I've ever witnessed. Like,
right.
It's
I'm very honest about like who he is, and at least what I think he is. You know,
like if people approach marriage the way you approach your relationship with John Mayer,
51% goes sky high to 85.
Yeah, we'd be living in like a utopia.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, so you just want to say a few preliminary words about it, and then I can kind of just chime in. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I think Mayer is like important.
Who's John Mayer to you?
I think Mayer is actually an important figure in music, and we're gonna get into this probably in future topics. How I feel about like guys who aren't just good or relevant in the pop world, who are also like ambassadors for like the craft. I think Mayer is to an extent. Like think about like the doors he's open as far as like young guitarists like wanting to get into guitar playing. Like Mayer is like an ultimate like. A lot of his stuff is super accessible because it is in mainstream music.
Yeah.
But that's like not to say that he's like a phenomenal guitar player. And you heard it here first, probably the most underrated right-handed guitar playing.
I don't even know how to process that statement. Really.
Think about it. Like as a guitar player, it's truly like masterful. And I know everyone doesn't want to like necessarily hear that because he's not like Steve Vai or something. But like a lot of amazing players say that like Mayer's right hand is like where it's at.
That's the money.
Yeah, right.
That's the money hand.
And like in a large part of his electric playing isn't even without it. Was even he doesn't even use a pick.
Yeah,
he's just an open hand player like a Jeff Beck type.
Now it is. I mean, what you say is interesting about like in pop music.
Yeah.
Really, those guys generally aren't virtuoso players.
No.
So he is kind of, I don't want to say an exception, but he's one of the few virtuoso players who really has been aiming for the pop market. It's not like it just accidentally happened.
No, it's a strategic.
His career was very calculated,
right.
Which I think leads to some of my fickle, contrarian hipster. I don't want to call it hate.
I'd call it.
Sometimes it borders on.
Yeah, I call it
hate. Sure. Sometimes it shade, not hate, shade. I have my moments.
Yeah,
I'm a Continuum guy.
Great.
First and foremost.
Great record.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so what? I mean, what's your
arguably the greatest blues record of the 21st century?
I don't know how Continuum could not. I don't understand the fan that says Continuum isn't their favorite John Mayer record. I feel like it's up here and everything else is good, but it's on a different echelon.
I think Continuum is a great record because it is. It's when a lot of things flawlessly came together. Like he found the crew, I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the first record De La wasn't a part of. Like his original bass player who also produced a lot of stuff for him.
Yeah.
So that's when Steve Jordan comes in. That's when Pino comes into the mix. Like the crew that he's kind of been with ever since. That was the start of pretty much all of it.
That's the John Mayer trio. If you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Him, Steve Jordan, Pino Palladino.
That's right.
Those guys are pretty nasty. The John Mayer Trio, another thing in and of itself, really.
Right. Probably my favorite incarnation of Mayer's music.
Really?
Absolutely. But I wanted to touch on something real quick, though, about the virtuoso thing. Because you and I have had a lot of conversations about this. Where being a virtuoso, to me, has always been more of an athletic feat than it ever was a musical one.
Yeah.
Whereas, and that's kind of where Mayer differs, is that he's always musical with his virtuoseness. You know?
Virtuosity.
Thank you.
I believe is the word you're searching for.
Of course. Thank you. So, how's that, Perrier?
Oh, dude, it's good.
Good.
It's like dry, but it quenches at the same time.
Good. I think that's where his playing kind of really shines, is that for being a virtuoso, it's always melodic.
And I mean, here's the thing. At his heart, he's a blues player.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know? And I feel like Continuum is the album that, like, this is what it is. And everything else is almost like he's turning his back on it. Which is why I didn't care for Battle Studies at all.
Right, because that is the poppiest record he's ever done.
Yeah.
Hands down.
It's like, is there cool guitar in this record?
Yeah.
At all?
Wait, that on Battle Studies?
Yeah. I didn't hear it.
But like acoustic playing though.
Yeah, that's true. There's some cool stuff.
Like actually the album ends with like a really, beautiful, Beatles-esque kind of tune.
I was out on Battle Studies.
Yeah.
So much of how I perceive things is in like the packaging of it that gets me started off. So when I see him in like a peacoat with and I'm like, you know what? I can't wait to not like this record when I listen to it.
But that is a characteristic that makes you very you.
Yeah,
you're that way.
Yeah, I can't really. I don't know if that is a mainstream thing.
That's Sean Daniels.
Wasn't down with the peacoat thing, and then to go from the peacoat coat to the poncho. A lot of evolutionary.
But
from peacoat to poncho.
That's right.
The John Mayer story.
But that's good. That's actually really good. Yeah. But let's talk about the country stuff. Tell me it was bad.
My second favorite Mayer album is Born and Raised.
Thank you.
I love Born and Raised.
When he decides he wants to be like Bob Dylan, he does it really well. There's some great tracks off that.
It's my favorite country album. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And then, but also too, like a track like something like Olivia sits well in it. That's what he does. He does a great job of like blending songs together from different genres and making it feel like the same album.
Absolutely. And like I'm sure it's because you brought up that song, like there were like just straight like jazz sweet picking in that song.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like it comes out of nowhere. Like, oh, this is great. And it's things like that I appreciate. I don't appreciate what he is in pop culture. I don't appreciate the walking, caricature of himself that he's become, or at least was.
Well, it seems like he's recovered from it,
right?
Seemingly.
So yeah, sure. Like that has really nothing to do with music. Yeah. As like a player, like his ability to do that is,
Now you were on that train real early. I didn't really know about John Mayer. I mean, I knew of John Mayer, like Bodies of Wonderland guy.
Yeah. Well, because back then, like circa, mid 2000s, like everyone was branding him as like the next Dave Matthews. Because that's what he was doing.
It's hard to even remember that was ever a thing.
But it definitely was.
But it was.
Because like songs like 3x5, where he was really championing like I'm an acoustic guy with a ginormous band behind me, like brass section, the whole thing. We're just like
no big deal.
And that's gone.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. He seems to have definitely refined his sound. I almost think it's like he's refined it almost too much to a certain extent. Like I'm still waiting for like the nasty John Mayer blues guitar album.
Well, that will be I have to imagine that's the next trio album. The next trio album is going to be that nasty blues album.
The next trio album, really? Is that ever going to happen?
It's never going to happen. And that's like we were talking about this earlier too.
The next two album are going to drop on the same day,
right?
I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that's actually a great point. Is I'm so tired of him telling me that there's going to be a new trio album, because every 3 years he'll drop something, or they'll do like a weird secret show, or they'll show up and play a Mamas and Papas cover on Letterman, and it'll get real. I'm like, oh, it's go time, and it's never go time.
And it's so strange because they're so nasty. There's just the one live album. If you haven't checked out the John Mayer Trio, do it because it's awesome.
Regardless of how you feel about like John Mayer, like the Trio album is like a solid rock like blues album.
Yeah, it's great.
And one of my favorite Mayer tunes of all time.
My number one favorite Mayer.
Another Kind of Green.
That's the most Hendrix Mayer riff that has ever been.
Right.
Check out Another Kind of Green.
That is fantastic playing. So
good.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents on Mayer. I hope at the very least, I hope that this discussion I'm not out to like change minds I mean, like my days of getting defensive over Mayer.
You used to get real defensive. He would get so worked up.
Those days are behind me.
Like he'd be like upset.
I would. He's like,
I wasn't even like trying to make you upset.
I think you kind of were. There's a percentage of you that loves trolling that kind of stuff in your very nature, and it's riddled throughout your entire channel that you can't help yourself. Of just knowing
I'm not consciously doing it.
Right.
It's just so interwoven into the fabric of my being that it just happens.
Right.
And it's like
But
I can't. Therefore, I can't really be held responsible for it. You know. Like I was sympathetic to your plight.
The point I was making is that I don't think this is gonna change your minds. But what I do hope is that this sets a new perspective of why they should revisit some stuff.
Yeah.
And if the only thing this accomplishes is somebody listens to that track, Another Kind of Green, off that from Trio, and then they remove like the persona of Mayer out of it entirely and just listen to it for what it is. Like I think a lot of people will really appreciate it.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go through each album and we're gonna highlight a signature track.
Oh, I love this. Great.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I need the assistance of some kind of like device to do this.
Oh, look at
Can
that.
you do this off the top of your head?
Not early.
Okay. So I mean, where does it really start even? What's his first album? I don't even know.
I want to say Room for Squares.
Room for Squares is number
I could
one.
be wrong on this.
Okay, we'll figure this out.
What a strong Mayer fan.
Yeah, here's the peacoat, man. Every time I see it, it's more. Oh shit! Look at all these albums. You know what I hate when you're like on Spotify or something and you go to albums, and it's like all the B-sides and the singles count as an album. That's not an album. I'm looking for an album.
But that's not really a Spotify issue. That's how like it gets published.
Yeah, that's. Well,
it's a body of work. So as far as Spotify is concerned, they're gonna categorize that as an album.
Okay. All right. So Room for Squares. That's where we're starting with.
Yeah.
All right. What's the signature track?
Dude, this is okay. 3x5.
Okay.
God, there's some great tracks on this. Great Indoors. Oh, Neon.
Neon.
Neon is a
100%.
player.
All right, we're in agreement with that.
Neon is a player, like guitar player. Like if a guitar player's ever at like a plateau, and I know like I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm not a great guitarist.
No, he's good, but I hear what you. Yeah.
Like if you want a challenge, like learn Neon on acoustic guitar.
You learn so much just about like syncopation, timing.
Right.
Like it's not just about the notes; it's about how you play them. It's impossible to play it note for note and have it sound like it.
And an active right hand.
That's true.
It's a very percussive guitar piece. I think if somebody wants to like try something new, learn Neon.
Okay, cool. So now are we skipping to? Is that even Any Given Thursday? Is that a thing?
That is a live record.
Yeah.
That he starts with 3x5, I think.
Heavier Things.
Scroll, my man.
All right.
So this is where he starts breaking in like the pop world. This is where you get Daughters, you get Come Back to Bed. My favorites. Okay, funny. This is a Sean Daniel story. New Deep is the reason why I actually wanted to start playing guitar again.
Really?
I enjoyed it as a kid, and I got really into bass playing and piano playing. New Deep, to this day, is a guitar style that I personally like. It's actually like fun playing that kind of thing, where your hand is just literally plucking chords and syncopation, and that's kind of the root of that song. Really simple 4-chord progression. That is actually a great song.
That's your choice for signature track. Yours? We don't have to have the same one, by the way.
Right, and as far as like a beautiful song to like enjoy with like a loved one, like Something's Missing, Come Back to Bed is like a classic.
See, now you're just going through the whole. You have to pick a signature track.
New Deep is my favorite song off the record.
Daughters makes me want to never have a family and kill myself.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of Daughters. Bigger Than My Body is going to be my choice for signature track.
That was the hit.
Great pop song.
Than Daughters.
Great pop song. I'm not so much of a hipster contrarian that I don't recognize a great pop song when I hear it. Very close. Bigger Than My Body was where it is. As Is that an album you have?
More live stuff. So all the As Is.
How many?
A
lot of As Is.
Right.
Continuum. We've made it. This is where I was like, all right, I'm on board.
So
I fought it for a long time. I'm like, I'm not into pop.
So this is the thing where like this isn't the best, but it's my favorite. Stop This Train. Okay. It's not a guitar player song. It's more of a beautiful story of nostalgia and life as a whole. But as far as like just guitar playing, like the live version, like live in LA of Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, that solo to me is like what makes a great solo. It's like setup, shred fest, find a melody that didn't already exist in the song, and then counter the existing melody in it as like a guitar harmony, if you will.
Brilliant writing. That
is to me what makes a great solo.
I feel like Slow Dancing in a Burning Room is the signature John Mayer riff. To me, sure. I think that's. But my signature one is going to be. It's hard to pick. This is hard. Dude, now that I'm looking at it,
every song on that record,
it's hard. I'm going to say I don't trust myself with loving you.
Great tune.
That's my jam on Continuum.
Can In Repair get honorable mention?
Of course it can.
And for those also who are interested in more like the recording aspect, there's a great video of Charlie Hunter, Steve Jordan, and John Mayer making that song in Avatar in Manhattan, and it's a really good insight to like just what that looks like, making a song from scratch that he didn't bring to the writing table. It was just created right there on the spot.
There you go. Beautiful.
Yeah, moving on.
We're going to skip Where the Light Is, but you shouldn't, because you should watch it, because Where the Light Is amazing.
Right.
I can't shade or hate on
Especially
that.
like Rest in Peace Tom Petty, a great time for an amazing Tom Petty cover on that too.
Beautiful. All right. Here we go. Here it is. Peacoat time. Battle studies.
Yeah, so for me, somebody who lives in Austin, Texas and champions Austin, Texas to no end, I'm going to have to say Who Says, because it's a powerful Austin, Texas shout out. However, all we ever do is say goodbye is that Beatles song I was talking about. That song, for whatever reason, got lost. And it's a beautiful song, very well written. So now, here's my thing though. You haven't listened to this record. So I don't know what
I've listened to it.
I don't know. Oh, so by default, you should probably say the Crossroads cover. That's a great solo too.
Yeah, but
I'm just kind of answering this for you.
that's fine. Go with that. I'm just gonna skip battle studies. Born and raised.
Here we go.
All right. This is where.
I'm looking at this track list. This is a good album.
Now it's interesting where pop culture was in this. This is 2012. Like people had turned on him at this point.
This was his first record past like the Playboy interview and everything.
The
that made
napalm. Yeah.
Sexual napalm.
So he had some missteps. God.
If I ever get around to living. Honorable mention, Wall Grace the Submarine.
Yeah, okay. I get it. That's actually honestly probably my least favorite one on there.
It's like, who writes songs like that? Like, just straight narratives.
There's a song called Parador out there. It's pretty good. It's a little bit better, more masterfully written.
Of course it is.
Born and Raised is my choice for signature
tune.
song off that. Born and Raised. I love it. So there's a lot of good ones on there, honestly. But Born and Raised is so good. And the reprise is good too.
The reprise is great, but the pocket of Queen of California is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I can't argue with that. What's the one? All right, there is a painful moment on this one for me. The lyric is I'm just a little birdie in a big old tree.
You hate that. You brought that up too.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard I'm just a little birdie in a big old tree. I'm like, what am I listening to?
Yeah.
Like, is this like a Mother Goose like tale? Like,
I can't argue that.
There's no defense for that. But again, good album. Check it out. Paradise Valley. I know for sure what mine is on this one. I'll start Paper Doll. Paper Doll. That riff is so good.
I think The Power of I Will Be Found is mine.
Yeah. Great lyrics for that one.
I'm gonna have to, yeah, that's my,
all right.
That's my saying.
Some of the, I'm not really into the collabs so much. I know that you really thought the Katy Perry relationship was beautiful in many ways.
If not for what it did for his last record, but I feel like I'm being baited into this, so we're moving on to the next record.
You had that work. And then The Search for Everything. That brings us to modern day.
Super underrated. I still feel like this hasn't gotten the hype it deserves.
I think this will gain a second life.
I think time will
at
tell.
Some point. Yeah.
I think time will tell.
What's it gonna be?
I think You're Gonna Live Forever in Me is powerful. I still think that Emoji of a Wave is probably, or Moving On, Getting Over.
Moving On,
super
Getting Over is mine.
super like Marvin Gaye vibe.
Moving On, Getting Over is my signature one from that.
Like, and he's always been like a huge Marvin Gaye fan, and he's covered Inner City Blues a few times. Like the last half of that has a very Marvin Gaye feel, and I think a lot of that's in Steve Jordan. So that's a quick crash course into.
There you go. So if you just want to check it out, see which type of fan are you?
Right.
Are you the loyalist? Are you
bandwagon?
Damn. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. That's fine. Another shout out to the John Mayer guitar. The case for that. Greatest gig bag in history.
It came with an in case.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think at the time, I think Mayer actually owned a portion of that company. That's from what I heard.
It's like a neoprene guitar gig bag.
Everyone remembers the in case backpacks from like when the Apple stores kind of just first came to life. Everyone wanted an in case backpack. It was that, but in a gig bag.
It was beautiful.
Right.
I wish they would make those.
Right. Well, they did for a while. And they had one called the Duo. And they didn't make it for, I don't think they made it for guitar, but they made it for bass. And they carried two basses in a single gig bag.
Man.
And as a guy who had a jazz bass in Warwick, that's all I needed.
Jam right there.
Right. Yeah.
Well, anyways, it's been fun talking about John Mayer.
Anytime, my
Music.
man. Anytime.
We'd love to field more questions from you all.
Yep.
So please, also, check out this guy's music I'm going to link you to.
Sure.
He's a master piano player.
Follow me on Instagram. Cody
Yeah,
Cook.
we're going to have all the pertinent information
Thank you.
down below. Thanks for checking it out.
All right.